see. Sorry, just testing out the software. First time I'm doing this. All right. All right, looks like we're good to go. Let's go here. All right, so this is my name is Jelfri Torres. Today I'm going to be doing the first ever market overview um, ever on my channel, where I'll be going over stocks, commodities, bonds, forex, and even crypto. All right, so I hope you guys find this valuable. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe for more. Let me know what you guys think about this, how I could do better, and what else I could add to make this more valuable for everyone. All right, so market overview. Let's get started. So indices update. We're gonna go over the SP 500, Nasdaq, Dow Jones, also known as Wall Street, which all appear to have dropped due to the fear that we have in the market right now. As you can see, here we're looking at the SP 500 index. It has dropped. Um, I would say probably like 5% or so. And we see that across the board with all of the indices dropping in value. And that's because of the uncertainty that we have in the market. We have stocks such as GameStop and EMC that are just skyrocketing. So we're kind of living in an everything bubble in which anything pretty much makes a good return, but people are not questioning the value. They're just thinking buy, buy, buy. All right. So in this next section, we're going to talk about three stocks that I would like to talk about. They're not necessarily the top three performing or the top three best stocks that you should buy, but there are three stocks that I'm interested in talking about. So the first one is going to be Apple. Apple has almost 1 billion iPhones in use. That's kind of hard to believe, but right now they're at 900 million. As you can see here, they have 600 million active subscriptions. So that means their cash flow is amazing. They're making a lot of money consistently every single month. All right. And there's also rumors about MagSafe, which is a magnetic, kind of like a magnetic case or charger, if you will, on how you be able to charge your MacBook in the future. So, we're just continuing our movement forward in terms of technology, in terms of using less wires. Um, the only bad thing that happened for Apple necessarily, it's not really big deal, but it did make investors want to short the stock. Recently, Apple has seen a drop. So if you look at Apple, we have seen a drop from 144 to 131, and that is because of their quarter one earnings. All right, the quarter one earnings, they have slow projections for the wearables such as the Apple Watch, and for any home devices such as the HomePod and such. They're expecting slower, sales, and also their accessories such as cases and chargers. They're not expecting to sell as much in comparison to their main device, which is Apple, and the subscriptions that they sell on iOS. All right. So the next stock here is Microsoft. Microsoft is doing amazing. Their sales grew 17%. Earnings grew 35%. So this is their second quarter in which they are increasing the amount of revenue and profits that they are getting, with Azure and Office 365 growing. So if you don't know what Microsoft Azure is essentially the future of cloud computing, where you'll be able to pretty much do more than just save things online. You understand? Give me a second here. All right. So Now we're to the next stop, Amazon. So Amazon has added $35 billion in annual revenue last year. Um, its price has currently dropped a bit, but it's not really anything to worry about. More people are going to be ordering online with everything that's going on in the world. So just really, really quick. I know that I didn't check on the Microsoft stock price, so we are seeing a little bit of a correction here, but you can see overall we are bullish on Microsoft. Especially with Azure and Office 365 and high demand, we're seeing an increase. And let's check out Amazon really quick. As you can see, in Amazon, we're kind of in a correction here, waiting to see if you know demand picks up. If Amazon, let's say, comes out with I don't know, new service or quicker shipping, we could see it go higher than 3,600. But for now, we're ranging about. We're still questioning whether Amazon is worth this much. That's why we're ranging about in this area, but we'll see in the future. All right, cool. So now moving on from the SP 500, let's go to Nasdaq. So I want to talk about Tesla. So Tesla has a new Model S that's come out with cosmetic changes and a new steering wheel. The steering wheel that they added isn't kind of like a circle anymore. What they did was they made it look like kind of like a fighter jet kind of steering wheel. So a lot of people may not like it, but Tesla is similar to Apple in that regard, in which they add new technology with no regards if people, not I'm not saying this in a negative light. I'm just saying like they don't do it to harm per se, but to move us forward much more quickly. Okay, and there's also rumors of cars with solar panels, and in general, people are just optimistic on Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a great entrepreneur, and pretty much anything he tweets makes the stock market move. So I remember there was one time he tweeted that Tesla's stock was just overvalued, so that caused it to sink. He also tweeted about GameStop, and that has helped people, you know, make the decision that hey, Elon Musk is talking about GameStop, let's buy it, you know. So he definitely has an impact on the market, um, just by saying things. It's crazy how just someone's words could impact how much money everybody makes. And it could be even instantly. So checking on Tesla stock, let's see how it's looking. Hold on. All right, so we are having a correction here on Tesla. Um, Tesla is one of the leading stocks in Nasdaq. So by seeing this correction here, we can see that people are locking in their profits that they have made thus far. Tesla has increased substantially recently, and people are just now wanting to take their profits. They probably have held for a year or two, so they could take advantage of not having to pay capital gains tax. All right, next on the NASDAQ list is going to be Zoom. So, with more restrictions happening worldwide in Europe and in the United States, we're probably going to have more time at home, spending more time with our, you know, digital products and such. So, that should help Zoom project even more. Also, in the Northern Hemisphere, where most of the land is, we're in winter. So, people are just going to be indoors a lot more, and schools are having more restrictions. They were thinking of having kids go back to school, but with everything that's going on, that's looking unlikely. All right, so let's check on Zoom's pricing. All right, so it seems like we're in a correction. We have had substantial growth in Zoom. But for now, it seems like people are locking in their profits, just like we have done with Tesla. I wouldn't say that demand is picking up yet, but we're still ranging about within this range here. So people are waiting to see whether Zoom is going to be worth it moving forward because you know a lot of investors had hope that in 2021 we'd move on from the pandemic, but that's not really the case. So we're probably gonna be living like this for maybe a year, maybe even more. Who knows? All right, next, Nvidia. Nvidia, I like Nvidia for the reason that we're now in the new generation of gaming consoles. So we're gonna have to have stronger chips. Not, I'm not saying just for the consoles, but for PCs in general. We're dealing with much more memory, more processing power. So Nvidia is definitely going to play a role in moving us forward in terms of graphics power. We have rumors of a new Mac coming out this year with the MagSafe. What I mentioned earlier, and we could see Apple is working on making a better chip for themselves in terms of graphics, and Nvidia is definitely a great competitor for Apple in terms of just like helping Apple, push themselves forward in terms of graphics power in their computers, and also the future of cloud computing with products such as Microsoft Azure and Office 365. We're gonna have a lot more things on the cloud per se. We know when we're talking about the cloud, we're talking about a computer that's elsewhere. So those computers that we're going to be remotely working on, they're gonna have to be much more powerful because one, we're gonna be working via just internet connection, connecting our computers to those computers, and for us to be the most effective at that as possible is to have stronger processing, stronger memory, stronger RAM, stronger graphics power on those computers that we have elsewhere. Who knows? It could be Missouri. It could be anywhere in the world, honestly. All right, so let's check out. So really quick, I haven't checked the Nvidia stock pricing. All right, so it seems like we're just ranging about here. We're in the quarter one of the other year, so there's not really much that we could tell about how things are going to develop. So we have some uncertainty. We're still ranging about. We're still determining whether we should move forward with Nvidia and expect some bullish pricing. We still gotta give it more time, see how the earnings come out and such, and with everything that I've said, moving forward, I do expect Nvidia to increase in demand and in pricing. All right, so moving on, let's check out the Dow Jones. So Salesforce, I love talking about Salesforce because they're a completely online customer relationship management company that helps a lot of companies develop rapport, following up with emails, keeping track and all of that is definitely helpful for them to make sure that they keep track of whether they're cold calling or calling clients that are warm per se. It'll help them keep track of that much more. All right. So, and also there's a lot more online businesses that are getting started. People are more optimistic of entrepreneurship and are considering, moving forward. There's uh, more pessimism towards having a job. Definitely, people are like, "Oh, you got to leave your 9 to 5." So a lot of people are trying, to start an online business, whether it's like selling stuff online, consulting, selling any other product or service. There are a lot more people doing it now than ever before. Now that the barrier of entry is much more less, it's definitely much easier to become an entrepreneur now. So I do expect there to be more entrepreneurs in the future. So that's why I feel that there's going to be more demand for Salesforce in the coming future. All right, so let's check on how Salesforce pricing is doing. All right, so same thing. We're correcting. waiting for demand to really pick up before we're all confident in saying, "Hey, let's all buy Salesforce." And I just love that their ticker is CRM, customer relationship management. They're all about it. So, and also the pricing is not bad, 225 compared to other top competing Nasdaq and SP 500 stocks. That's definitely on the more affordable range compared to the others. All right. So next, Nike. Digital sales are increasing for Nike. They're considered a safe company, and they're very consistent with staying to the newest para technology. So that leads me to be optimistic. And also, I love Nike sneakers. They're very high quality. There's in terms of design, they're very versatile. Like you could have anything, right? Any kind of design, any coloring, any kind of look with Nike sneakers. If you look at other sneaker brands like New Balance, for example, you could tell what New Balance looks like. You could tell what a Yeezy looks like. You could tell. But with Nike, there's much more spontaneity. Like, you know, Nike sneakers range a lot more compared to other sneaker other sneakers. Sorry. So let's check out Nike pricing. All right, so it seems like we're having a correction here. People are locking in their profits with the Nike stock. Um, Nothing much really going on here other than that. So we're gonna have to wait to see when they report their earnings, if they haven't already, how this may continue to perform. Digital sales are increasing, so that's definitely a good thing for Nike. We're just gonna have to wait and see how whether they develop or create a new apparel technology to move us forward. In terms of that, that'll definitely help the demand in Nike. But for now, I wouldn't say that there's going to be any short term demand. Definitely in the future. I'm very optimistic with Nike. All right, so next company is Walmart. If you didn't know, it may have been a year or two ago that they opened to third party sellers, kind of like what Amazon does, that they allow anybody to sell on their platform, just like how eBay is. Pretty much anybody can sell on there, and that will help Walmart expand. It will definitely give them more products and on their catalog, much more variety. It'll give them a much more wider reach because there's much more that people could buy. Like on Amazon, you could pretty much buy anything, right? So Walmart is getting to that point. They are the biggest retailer, but right now opening their stores online to third party is definitely going to help them compete against Amazon. So by as you can see on this PowerPoint here, I said more private label and third party. But private label, I just mean people creating. They don't have to necessarily create their own products, but they get a manufacturer to create their products, and then they themselves brand it. That's private label. And I expect digital demand to increase, so that's definitely gonna help Walmart increase much more. Quarter one, there's not many holidays, so not expecting demand to be too crazy, but we can later on in the year, especially in the last quarter where we have all the holidays such as Christmas, New Year's, and such. All right, so let's move on. So next thing, bonds. All right, bonds are considered a much more safer investment, and they tend to increase in times of uncertainty, which is happening right now. So let's check out on the 10 bond year notes. So there is a lot of uncertainty happening now, um, especially with randoms. I wouldn't call them random stocks, but we're seeing GameStop and EMC increasing much more without any fundamental reason why, other than to probably make Wall Street lose money. But as you can see, since we had um, known that Joe Biden was going to be president, we had the yield increase. That's because when we have Democratic presidents, the interest rates on our currency increases. So basically, what that means is that investors can buy dollars, and dollars will increase in value, and then they earn money based on that difference. So we have the yield increasing much more, and it seems like we're having an increase in demand in the yield. So bonds are probably going to be much more attractive investments once they get past like 1.5 or even 2%. They'll be considered, or you can consider it yourself, a high yielding savings account. Much more better than savings account nowadays. There's offering like 0.3, 0.5%. So honestly, if you're gonna have money saved up, you might as well buy bonds if you're not needing it anytime soon. 10-year bond notes, are a big investment. Sorry, in terms of waiting for it to mature or expire, but it is better than our current savings interest. But I do feel like they're going to increase the bond yields. Uh, like I said, because we have a Democratic president, they increase interest rates. So in the future, I do expect it to increase furthermore. All right, so let's move on to commodities, such as oil, silver, and gold. All right, so let's check out oil real quick. So we do see here that oil is increasing in price, has been rebounding since last year. Um, we're not expecting that much demand. And this year it's going to be a more slow and gradual increase over time. And based on what we're seeing here, we're seeing some uncertainty. So we could have a correction here, have oil maybe go back down to 50 or maybe even like $48 per barrel. But overall, it's going to be a slow, gradual increase. We're having a higher demand for goods. So essentially, what that means is that we need them moved around the country, right? So transportation is going to be high in demand because we're ordering all these things online. We're not buying things from local businesses. So transportation is a business that is definitely going to see a lot of growth as we live in this pandemic era. All right, so moving on to silver. We're seeing some demand pick up in silver here, right? Especially recently. Look at that. That's crazy. Man, it looks like demand is picking up. We're probably gonna, go over $30 on silver, and we have silver ranging about here. But with this current demand spike up here, we're probably gonna have silver break these highs. And based on previous price data, seems like we could head as high as like 36, $40. And the reason why this is happening is the lack of uncertainty that we have in the market. Really, like investors are being very fearful. They're wanting to put their money in these precious metals. So we're looking here at silver, and it's going to be the same in gold. We're just having a lot of fear in terms of we're high in pricing in the stock market. Like we're in the highest we've ever been in the history of the stock market, right? So at some point, price is supposed to drop in value. So the real question is, when is that going to be? So that causes people to take money out of stocks, which seems to be the case since we have about 5% drop in all of them, that they're putting their money elsewhere. They could be putting their money into bonds, which is why we're having that increase in demand. They could be putting their money in silver, in oil, and gold. People are just considering other options to see where they could get a higher return on their investment, right? So let's move on to the currency section. So here we have Euro USD. We're just gonna go down the list here. All right, so here in Euro USD. So if you're not aware of it already, there are a lot of lockdowns that are happening in Europe. So that is causing a bit of a correction here. that we see on Euro USD, that we're uncertain if the Europeans are going to be able to sustain their economy if they're in lockdown. So the dollar is also gaining strength. That's the reason. If the if price moves up, that means the euro gains strength against the dollar. If it goes down, the dollar gains strength against the euro. All right. So with that said, the reason why we're seeing this move down here is one, we have a Democratic president, Joe Biden, which is, Democrats like to increase interest rates. So that means for the dollar that the dollar is likely to increase in price. So people are more likely to put their money in the US dollar than they are in the euro, especially if Europe is in lockdown. Because the policies in Europe are much more strict than the United States. People could wander about freely without a mask in the United States. Well, New York specifically, I live in New York, and people could walk around with masks, and there are no real penalties. Not as strict, I believe, as Europe. So we'll see how the lockdowns go about, and we'll see if we'll continue um, investing more money into the dollar. All right. So now looking at GBP USD, which is the Great Britain's currency against the US dollar, like I mentioned earlier. Now we have uncertainty because of the lockdowns that are happening in UK and Europe. Both influence GBP and the euro because they still work closely with one another, and we could just see that demand is picking up, but it's not strong demand. There's a lot of corrections going on, so we'll see. I think we are going to see a turning point. But that depends on when Joe Biden decides or Powell decides to increase the interest rates, because right now interest rates are like at 0%. Um, and as I mentioned previously, Democrats increased interest rates. So in the last interest rates meeting that we had, I think it was maybe on Wednesday, 2 days ago, on January 27th, I think, they didn't change the interest rates at all. But the dollar did gain strength because we have a Democratic president, and investors are expecting interest rates to increase for the dollar. That's why I feel like we're going to see uh, some demand in the dollar for all of these forex pairs, including USD JPY, which is the dollar against the Japanese yen. The Asian markets are performing fairly well, which is why we see um, strong movement downwards against the dollar, right? Dollar was weakening against the Japanese currency, but now with the first interest rates meeting, we're seeing some demand pick up. All right, so it's all up to what happens in the next interest rates meeting, whether we see an increase, which we probably will, that will continue this bullish movement that we see. All right. All right, so moving on to the next pair, USD CAD. USD CAD is ranging about much more. If you didn't know already, Canada is one of the biggest oil suppliers. So they do move in conjunction with oil. We have a slow, gradual demand increase in demand for oil. So we can see that here. If we see these candles moving down, that means the Canadian dollar is gaining more value against the dollar, which is the case as we see oil increase in demand. And despite the interest rates meeting, we didn't really move anywhere. We still have a lot of uncertainty with the USD CAD. Like, is the dollar worth, you know, uh, buying against the Canadian dollar? That's the real question now. So it seems as of yet there is lack of certainty, but in the future we'll see with the next interest rates meeting whether we'll see a spike in increase of interest rates for the US dollar, maybe to 0.5%, 0.25%. Any little increase in interest rates will definitely drive the dollar much more higher in price. All right, so last thing we're going to be looking at is Bitcoin. All right, I know you guys love talking about Bitcoin, so let's just go over it really quick. A lot of demand happening in Bitcoin right now. We have some uncertainty because a lot of people are saying, um, I think it was a misconception about how, um, if you buy a Bitcoin, you actually buy it twice or something like that, which was just a misunderstanding of how the blockchain network works, which is there's essentially when you see people that are mining Bitcoin, right? The way people earn Bitcoin essentially is that there are blocks of security, and the Bitcoin miners have computers that try to break the block and essentially break into the blockchain of Bitcoin. And if they do so, they're rewarded, and the blockchain becomes ever more powerful. Okay, so with that in mind, Bitcoin is definitely an asset that's going to increase in value against the dollar, as there's is going to be much more scarce. We are going to be headed towards the point where there's going to be no more blocks, no more bitcoins to earn, and we're probably going to get there within the next 5 years. And just looking at the price of Bitcoin, like I said, there is some uncertainty because of the misunderstanding here. And each time Bitcoin has dropped, it's dropped more than 40%. And thinking about that increased over 40,000 is crazy. Like, projections could be as high as 100,000 within the next 1 or 2 years. But first, we definitely do need a correction. Um, a lot of institutional investors are definitely taking profits on Bitcoin once it hit 40,000. Um, so this correction here could last a lot longer. We see this long wick here. This essentially is the pressure of the sellers pushing price down. So we're not quite ready to go back up yet, but we'll definitely see in the near future what we would like to do. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up my market overview. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how I can improve this to be more valuable for you guys. I appreciate the fact that you tuned in or that you're watching the recording. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.